Welcome to the MarTech.org podcast.
This is Mike Pastor, Editorial Director at MarTech. Every summer, we conduct the MarTech Replacement Survey, which surveys the MarTech community about the applications they've replaced in the previous year. We release the findings during the fall edition of the MarTech Conference, which takes place virtually and is free to attend every year in late September. One of the things that stood out in the 2024 MarTech Replacement Survey is the role of cost when marketers are considering a replacement. In 2024, cost pulled away from the pack. While features remain the most common reasons MarTech apps are replaced, cost is the top consideration when marketers are looking for a replacement. Also of note from the 2024 results, 96% of the MarTech apps being replaced, whether homegrown or commercial apps, were replaced by commercial apps. Security and compliance rank surprisingly low when marketers are considering a replacement. And the lifespan of a MarTech app tends to be about 3 to 5 years. What follows is an AI-generated discussion of the 2024 MarTech Replacement Survey. We hope you find it helpful for better understanding the results.
Remember back in 2023, it felt like everyone was chasing the shiniest new MarTech features.
Oh, yeah.
Companies tripping over themselves to offer the latest and greatest, and we were ready to hand over our credit cards without a second thought.
Right.
Well, 2024, that's a different story.
Yeah, things have changed.
This year, it's all about cost consciousness. We're doing a deep dive into the 2024 MarTech Replacement Survey to see how this shift to being cost conscious is impacting your world.
It's interesting how the priorities have shifted so dramatically. The focus has really moved away from just having the newest features.
For sure.
It's more about practicality now.
So the survey, it tells us that 60% of marketers said that cost was their top concern when they were thinking about replacing their MarTech tools. Yeah, 60%. That's a huge jump from last year. I mean, back then, integration, customer experience, cost, they were all kind of neck and neck in terms of importance. But now, cost is the clear winner. And you can really see how the tech slowdown, tighter budgets, is making everyone think twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, that practicality you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's really showing up in the types of solutions that marketers are choosing now. I mean, a full 96% of the replacements that we saw involved well-established commercial applications.
Yeah.
You know, the SaaS platforms we all use.
Yeah, makes sense, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. For the 5th year in a row, marketing automation platforms were the most replaced type of tool.
Interesting.
So it makes you wonder, right? Is the marketing automation space just getting too crowded?
It's a good question.
Is there a lack of real difference between all these platforms?
Right.
Is it just a race to the bottom when it comes to pricing?
Yeah, you have to wonder.
Especially when you see that other more specialized categories like identity resolution and ABM platforms, account-based marketing, for those who haven't heard that one yet, those are seeing way fewer replacements.
Yeah, it seems like marketers are finding more value and stability in those really specialized solutions, and they're sticking with them for the long haul.
Makes sense. They're committing to them.
Yeah.
Which brings us to another interesting point. The survey found that on average, a MarTech tool only lasts about 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
That's its lifespan before it gets replaced.
That's really short when you think about it.
Have you ever felt like you're on a treadmill, constantly having to adapt to new technology, new tools? It really does feel like you're constantly trying to catch up, right? Like you finally find a tool that works and then there's a new one. Exactly. Or your needs change and you're back to square one.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Speaking of changing needs, one thing that really surprised me in the survey was how little emphasis marketers seem to be placing on security and compliance when they choose a new tool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. You'd think with all the data privacy regulations and the high-profile security breaches we've seen, you'd think that'd be top of mind for people.
Absolutely.
So what do you think's going on there? Are we just being too trusting of these vendors?
It's possible. The survey also found that it's mostly marketing managers and executive management who are making these decisions about replacing tools. IT doesn't seem to be very involved.
So maybe there's a little bit of blind spot there, like marketing's focused on the functionality, what's easy to use.
Right.
And maybe IT has a different perspective. They're thinking more about the security risks.
Yeah, you've got different priorities at play. And here's another interesting thing. This whole being cost conscious thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that marketers are shrinking their tech stacks.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So even though everyone's worried about cost, they're still adding more tools.
It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
It really does. But that's what the data shows. Over 57% of the marketers, they said they're actually using more MarTech applications now than they were before.
Wow. Okay, so how are they doing that? Are they getting really creative with their budgets, maybe using more free trials or finding these different pricing models?
Those are definitely possibilities. I'm sure some folks are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They might also be taking certain functions and consolidating them within one platform.
Right.
Or maybe they're ditching those old, expensive legacy systems and going with multiple, more affordable solutions instead.
Yeah. So it's a real balancing act.
It is.
Wanting all these cool new features and expanding what you can do, but also
trying to stay within budget.
Exactly.
It's a real sign of just how complicated the marketing world is these days.
For sure.
You're always being pulled in different directions, trying to stay ahead of the curve, but also
not going broke.
Exactly. You said it.
It's a tough spot to be in for sure. Trying to find that balance.
It really is. And that's where careful planning comes in.
Right.
And really focusing on ROI. At the end of the day, you have to look at your tools and be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Are they really earning their keep?
Exactly. Sometimes you have to let go of a tool even if you spend a lot of time and money on it.
Right.
Because like we said before, the average lifespan of a MarTech tool.
3 to 5 years.
Exactly.
Right.
So you might be replacing things more often than you think.
And the survey found that a lot of the time those replacements are driven by wanting better features, wanting better functionality.
Yeah, you got to stay competitive.
Exactly. It's all about what's going to have the biggest impact on your bottom line.
So it seems like the key takeaway here is you can't be afraid to adapt and evolve.
100%. You can't be afraid to try new things, especially if they can give you a real advantage.
Don't let fear or, I don't know, maybe a little bit of laziness keep you stuck with a tool that's not really working for you anymore.
That's right. Sometimes you got to cut your losses and move on.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the 2024 MarTech Replacement Survey.
It has.
A lot to think about. What do you think are the key takeaways our listeners should be keeping in mind?
I'd say first and foremost, even though we've been talking a lot about costs, being more aware of budgets, that shouldn't stop you from exploring new tools and technologies.
Right.
If it's something that can really make a difference for your marketing, don't be afraid to at least check it out.
Don't let cost be the only thing that dictates your decisions.
Exactly. It's about finding that middle ground, right? Balancing innovation with getting the most out of your budget.
So find that sweet spot.
Yes.
Okay.
And ask yourself, what do I really need? What problems am I trying to solve with these tools? And are the tools I have doing that effectively, or is there something better out there?
Really great questions for everyone listening to consider as they're making these decisions for their own businesses.
Absolutely.
The MarTech Replacement Survey, it's giving us a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, the best path forward, it's the one that makes sense for your business, your goals, and your resources.
Couldn't agree more.
So keep experimenting, keep learning, and maybe most importantly, keep an eye on those budgets.
That's the key right there.
Thank you for listening to the MarTech.org podcast. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at martech.org/newsletters.